So if this were the writer's room, Marder would be pacing and Rosell would be lying under the table.
Yeah.
He'd be shredding paper.
Shredding paper of some sort, like into tiny pieces.
Rob would be lifting. Glenn would be getting a blood transfusion.
Glenn would be drinking like 100 raw egg yolks.
Yeah.
All right. You sit down so you get near the mic. You're all this great content.
I haven't seen Marder in a while.
No.
I know.
We're going to have to catch up.
Feel free to pry.
Yeah, we're going to dig in. We're going to get into some stuff.
I listened to one on the way over here.
Oh,
you did?
One of
Yes.
these?
The gang sells out.
And so you're like, oh, that's what it sounds like when Robin, Charlie, and Glenn talk to one another.
I turned it off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I'm
this
used
will
to
blow.
that.
I've never listened to a single podcast ever across anything. I've never listened
Why?
to it.
What do
Just
you
because
listen
I'm
to?
rigid. And don't.
You are
what's-
missing out, man, on a lot of
What do you
quality
have playing?
entertainment.
What do I have playing? I don't know. I music. I don't.
Well, let me tell you something.
It's not like I even listen. I used to listen to only Stern, and I
Music.
fell off of that with pandemic. Like I don't know. I don't listen.
Just music?
just music.
But it's kind of like me with candy and fruit and stuff. Like I've just decided I'm not gonna dip into podcasts at all.
I mean,
which
you're
isn't
missing
smart.
out.
I hear like I'm missing out on
Yeah,
tons of
you're
great
missing
stuff.
out because, like, if there's someone you really are interested in and admire, like, here's an example. Like, I love Paul Thomas Anderson. I love his movies. I think he's a brilliant guy. There's some great, like, Marin sits and talks with him for 2 hours.
I hear it's great.
You just get, don't. Outside the podcast, you just get little bits of things, so you never really get into any sort of
I
quality.
think I work
information.
from home all the time, so I feel like there's no commute anywhere.
we gotta
So
get you
I've
driving
got
more.
no drive time anymore.
that's true.
We got to get you driving more.
I haven't
Yeah.
driven in quite some time to a destination. And,
This was a nice change of
I did
pace.
it.
Get the fuck out. So you guys now are just well, let's go. Let's not.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start at the beginning. All right, this is the podcast. Rob and Glenn have declined to show up.
Great.
On
Not
your
because of
special
you
day.
guys.
It would have been cool if you weren't here either, and it was just Rob and I. Oh, I
kinda
feel like
like
we
the
were kind of
writer's room.
bamboozled here.
The
Right,
red
it's
carpet.
like you guys showed up at the writer's room. We're not there either.
There's a rewrite that we owe in the last season. Like, oh,
So they're
a complete
excited.
trick.
They're excited about us being on, though, right?
yeah. They're really happy you're
Yeah,
here.
they're super happy.
I can feel that.
No, I'm sure they're gonna be bummed to miss this.
We just only have 4 chairs, so.
Yeah, we only have
I
4
get
chairs,
that.
so this is.
I can get behind that.
Where do I begin? Okay. Well, first of all, how many seasons did you guys write on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I think I was there for 13.
13.
No, 11. 11. I was there for 11 seasons.
I'd have to calculate it. Probably 10 or 11. Because you left for a few seasons and I came on for a few seasons.
So oftentimes they'll hear us talking about Marder and Rosell. On the podcast we have here for our listeners at home, Rob Rosell and Scott Marder. And you guys came on in season 3 and I would say made a huge impact on the show just in terms of your tone of comedy and what you guys brought to the show. It really sort of changed the direction and the tone of the show, made it so much better. And we held on to you for as long as we possibly could until your careers were just taking off and we couldn't pin you down anymore. But
Then got you back on the down
came crawling
slope.
back.
we got you guys crawling
we're
back
older.
in the last 2 seasons, thank God. But I want to go all the way back to the beginning. Had you guys been staffed up on a television show before you worked with us, or was ours your first show?
No, we'd done one thing, right? The camp movie that was
American Summer
some sort of. It almost
from the
felt
American
like a
Pie
scam.
franchise.
We met with a guy who had I'm no joke 5 cell phones on a table.
When we met him at the Grand Havana Room.
Yes, at a
the
cigar
Club
bar
in
in the
Beverly
middle of
Hills.
the
When
day.
we met him, he was at a table with all of his medication on the table, as if he had dumped his medicine cabinet on the table. And he's like, "Sorry, baby, I'm trying to regulate my pills." Like, what a crazy red flag. We still ignored that, got into business with
Felt
him,
like, oh,
and
this is
then it was a
Hollywood. This is what
nightmare.
people do. This is crazy.
Hollywood. You
He
put
would call
pills
at
in
all
your cell
hours of the
phones?
day. Like, he'd call at 4 p.m. I love it, baby. I love what you're doing. He'd call at 4 a.m. I'm terrified. I think the movie's going under. Like, we're like, God damn it.
Did he pay you guys?
Very little.
It broke down to like a nickel an hour. I mean,
Yeah, so he sort of had drummed up his own kind of
He had
contract.
I mean, he was won't say his name, but he was a successful producer who had made a few hits.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it seemed
We
like
were big time.
So he seemed legitimate.
He seemed legitimate. The cigar bar was a red flag. Being paid sort of like out of his pocket was a bit of a red flag. No one really asking for it was unclear what the plan for the movie was, but he seemed to have a plan, and we didn't know anything, and we didn't have jobs. So,
wait, can I back up even further? So you guys were a writing team when you started. See, I always thought you just were paired up on Sunny, but you came in as
we went to Syracuse together.
Oh, I didn't know.
We came out to L.A. ready to write.
We were roommates.
So you were two funny guys who went to Syracuse, came to LA, got teamed up with a man full of pills and cell phones.
Yes.
And wrote a feature for this man. Was it a feature or was it
It was a feature.
It was a feature.
So now, a good example of the way the impact you guys had on the show is even you telling me that story right now, we would be like, okay, right, we have to do something where Frank is pitching someone a thing and he's got 5 cell phones on the table and a pile of pills. Like just the very sort of idiosyncratic sense of humor and the way you guys look at the world changed what we were doing. So we started doing things like rum hams and milk steaks. But before we get into that, okay, so you've done that and it had gone over poorly.
It kind of petered out. It was unclear what happened.
It overlapped with our first season at Sunny.
We had an agent who was sending us out. We would meet on shows. We were just like, we would have worked on anything, but no one wanted to hire us. And we got a lot of maybe next season. And then Sunny popped up as our agent told us that they were hiring.
We were taking a swing that long. I mean, we wrote a Golden Girls spec.
It just creates more drama.
we were one day away from being broke. We shared a bank account like Ben and Matt.
Oh yeah, you said, we wrote this Golden Girls spec that was called Golden Girls Gone Wild. That was like a crazy episode, and it got a really positive response, and we were feeling like the momentum of like we're going to get staff soon. And then Sunny popped up, and we're like, that's our favorite show. This is the perfect spec for it. We sent it to you guys, and you guys didn't like it.
I don't even remember reading the Golden Girls spec, but
do you remember what Barry said he did? I mean, this is what our agent claimed he did, because you guys were like, yeah, it's too crazy. So Barry claims, our agent back in the day, claimed that he tore the page off of another sample we had, and was like, if you don't like those guys, check out these guys. And you're like, these guys got the stuff. And it was a Reno 911 we had written. And that got us Sunny.
Unlikely, here's what I do remember. So that this was our first season hiring writers. Mm-hmm. We'd done season 1 and we'd done season 2, and we were going into season 3. And in season 2, Hornsby wrote an episode, but outside of that, we worked with another guy named I think his name was Rich Dom, who wrote an episode, but we ended up not using it. And so this was our first time staffing up. We didn't really know how to do it. So we were just meeting people. Maybe we were reading spec scripts, but I think it was more, okay, who do the agents think we should meet with from all sorts of levels, like high-level guys and young writers, men and women all over the spectrum of where they're at with their career. And we had asked for people to pitch us potential episodes of Sunny. And you guys came in and you pitched us the thing about Frank being in a street gang called the Yellow Jackets with a bunch of old guys.
Well, I have an addendum to that because I just listened to the Gang Sells Out on the way over here.
Okay.
The Yellow Jackets and Hockey. Hockey was Marder's dad.
Yeah.
And he was in the Yellow Jackets gang, right?
He was the fastest thing on 2 feet. That's why everyone called him Hockey.
The actor was your father?
No, the actor was based on my father.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think you guys came in, you pitched us that, which we thought was hilarious. You probably told us stories about your father, and we were like, these two guys are brilliant. Maybe I remember reading in Reno 911, but it never really had much to do with the spec script. It usually had to do with, do we feel like we're going to get funny ideas from these guys? Do they get what we're trying to make? Sometimes people would come, oftentimes they would pitch us things and they were all just about like STDs.
Gang gets herpes.
We were warned to not do that going in, like, don't pitch him STD stuff. It's
really?
no. Yeah, we were.
Like 11th hour, like, hey, no sex.
You're like,
yeah, that's definitely like 5 ideas.
Well, I think people were thinking it was just a gross out show.
Yes.
And so they were pitching like bottom of the barrel kind of gross out humor. And we didn't want that. We wanted something like, Danny used to be in a street gang and that the street gangs used to sing and the humor in that. So I remember Yeah, I remember it was a no-brainer to hire you guys.
Do you guys remember your interview with them?
I remember it. Yeah, I don't remember all of the ideas we pitched. I remember a few of them.
We definitely pitched the flipping the Coke. That was one we pitched on that first day. That became an episode.
Oh, yeah,
I feel like
The
two
horse.
or three of the ones we pitched in our interview became episodes that season,
Peter
which was cool.
Nincompoop
Yeah.
horse?
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know what we were.
Yeah, selling cocaine, you mean?
Yeah.
Then we had this crappy building in Manhattan Beach?
Sort of.
No, in Playa del Rey.
Yeah.
Playa del Rey, right.
It was like an
Middle of
industrial warehouse that looked like you would, if you wanted a set for like a gang fight, you would do it in the parking lot.
It was on a street called Beatrix, I think.
Oh, yeah. Wow, good
Middle of
memory.
nowhere.
I remember pulling in and seeing like a pickup truck, a little Audi, and a really old Lexus, and being like, I wonder who's
Who's yeah. So I had that Audi then. All right, cool. And then that was the first time we had an office. So I don't know if you guys thought you were coming into like a thing that was more of like, this is a show, but like none of, like Rob, Glenn, and I, we didn't know what we were doing either still. We just had kind of spit out 2 seasons somehow. This is our first time even having an office building. We didn't know if we should have computers, and it was our first time having a staff. Do you remember who else was on that staff?
Well, David Hornsby would have been, right?
Hornsby for sure.
Lisa Parsons.
Lisa Parsons.
That was
Adam Stein was the writer's assistant.
Adam Stein was a writer's assistant. He got a couple good jokes in that season
He did.
too.
I
could
remember
go for some wood.
I remember that first day. We were writers' assistants, so we were used to being in rooms. But we were like, "So what's the menu for today? Like, what's the lunch?" And McElhenney's like, "What do you mean lunch?" We're like,
That was
"You don't get free. You don't get
pack
free
a lunch?"
We're like, "You don't get free lunch." And then McElhenney like stormed down the hall.
That was
and
my
you could hear him barking at someone on FX, and he came back. He's like, "We got free lunch now. What else are we supposed to be getting that we never
'cause
got
didn't know.
before?"
Okay, so wait, so you had been writers' assistants in a room?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
We had both been writers' assistants on various shows.
Okay, so you'd had some experience.
Yeah.
So we were kind of looking to you guys a little bit to be like, what does a writer's room do?
And we were very much from like network shows that were like so different than how Sunny would function at its best.
Okay, so this is interesting. So you had the experience of going to like the lot and going into like a nice building, and everyone's got like a computer that's paid
Everyone's
for
got
by
a computer. Yeah, there's a lot of like just things that you just expect to be there, like your computer, your office, the lunch. McElhenney's reaction to the lunch was our first exposure to Rob McElhenney's iconoclasm.
It was awesome.
Rob Justice got
Justice.
lunch for
Robbie
you guys.
Justice.
That's what we call him here.
I like it.
I'm thinking I'm remembering now that we learned from you guys that the studio was supposed to supply computers to the writers.
Yes, stuff like that we definitely brought to the table.
So we got on our line producer about like, hey, we're supposed to have computers. And that was when I got my first computer.
Yeah, I think like Sunny almost didn't exist really in any, but the three of you had really put computers that were like, can I see scripts from season 1? You're like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to find those. Everyone was like digging through like broken computers to find scripts and stuff.
I remember at my desk, I did have some sort of desk, but it was makeshift, and
we made a nook in a room filled with chairs.
It was also an office in a facility that was like manufacturing things sometimes. It was like very much not an office. But the script or part of the script for Mac Bangs Dennis's mom was on like a yellow notepad scribbled out.
Oh, yeah.
And should have kept it.
I have a few notepads from, I have the Gang Wants an Abortion, the abortion episode. I have the legal pad still. With
that's
my
cool.
notes on that, which is fun.
Were you guys tempted to tell them extra things that you used to get just to see, like, we get cars and like...
We were so nervous.
Yeah, I'm not bold like that at all.
So nervous.
Yeah, what were you nervous about? Nervous that like Rob, Glenn, and I would be like, oh, we don't like these guys writing or their jokes, or
that you wouldn't like us.
I thought this was like the greatest show. Like getting this job was like winning the lottery. I mean, when I saw Mac Bangs Dennis's mom, like our agent gave it to us on like DVD or something.
Yeah, sure.
I remember watching it and then just watching it like over and over and over. I still think it's like the best episode of
It got
this
a little
show.
bit weird with what he was watching, but that was the episode that got me too.
Really?
Yeah, it like kind of unlocked the show for me.
Well, yeah, it's one of my favorites for sure. So, I mean, then that third season, we had to do 15
I know,
episodes,
yeah.
which is the most we ever did. I don't know how.
Costume department.
It was a lot.
Very busy that year.
Yeah, sure. Because we were kind of taking some bigger, broader swings that season. And then, like, it's been interesting watching them back because the 4th season, we start to find something. And the 5th season, we really hit our stride in terms of the tone of the show. All right, well, let's get into a little bit more about the two of you guys. First of all, your dad, speaking of hockey, you would tell us so many stories about your dad. And I ran into you at a party, and you told me a story about your dad eating this canned meat, which I was saying it wound up not working its way into Sunny this season. But so many stories about your dad would find their way into like stories about Frank.
For sure, they line up. They line up really close to each other.
And Mac, right, shooting himself in the belly with the insulin.
Yep. Yeah.
Wait, that's the thing your dad
What was
thing?
the story about the canned meat?
My dad was really thrilled by this beef stew that he got at the flea market, and he was digging into it and had a couple cans of it. And my mom saw how much he enjoyed it, so she opened one up to have for dinner. And then until she turned it around and saw that it was dog food that he had been eating.
Like
which
the
was just
cans
like very
of
him.
food. I guess it was dog food. I didn't remember it was dog food. They're like, you see that little meager food section at like an Exxon, like that type of food.
I didn't know you could buy food at a flea market. Who's ever done that?
I mean, my
Canned
father
foods?
could buy anything at the flea market.
And this is how a story starts. Because then we're like, okay, great. So like Frank really wants to get the gang to go down to the flea market because that's where you get the best meat.
Yeah.
You know, and then they realize that then we'd be like, okay, then maybe they realize it's dog food, but then they're like, what else does a dog do that I'm missing out on?
Some connection with flea market and dog food. There's some conspiracy there.
Yeah, there's some conspiracy.
I think we can all agree it tastes good, right? So if we're willing to look past who it's intended for, I'll keep eating it.
What is your dad eating now? Is he same stuff?
Same stuff. I mean, my dad's like live action Homer Simpson. He just eats such garbage, like sleeves of Oreos right before bed, like Mountain Dew all day. He doesn't drink water. He doesn't like the taste of it. All he drinks is soda, which is, he's 80. I mean, to make it to 80 and all you drink is soda is pretty remarkable.
That's pretty
don't stop
impressive.
now, you know?
Yeah, don't stop now.
In the room, you showed us a funny picture of your dad in bed, like surrounded by, what was that? He was like covered up. Like,
he sleeps like a vampire. I do too, so I can't throw stones.
I was not going to bring it up, but yeah.
He sleeps completely under the covers. You just see the mass of a body underneath.
Covers
with
over.
Mac playing on a
Covers
stereo
totally
and
over.
just-
Pillow over face covers over a pillow.
Pillows,
Right?
Pillow over face.
I sleep with my head between two pillows like a taco, cover over me, completely entombed. And now one of my sons does that too. So it's now
Really?
generational. Yeah.
Wow. So then you feel contained and safe in there.
Hot, packed in.
Yeah.
Like a sardine.
Well, you have one story about temping and having a little bit of a stomach issue.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's
Which is one of my favorite. You know, we told the story about the poor young man who auditioned for the show and had horrible diarrhea and then went behind the dumpster to wipe his own butt with his own headshots. It was his
I didn't hear. I've never heard that.
it's his first ever audition and he realizes he's going to have diarrhea and someone's in the bathroom and he can hear them running their lines and it's taking forever. And he goes behind the dumpster and he shits in his pants and he's trying to clean it up with his own headshots. And he gives up and he throws his pants out his window driving home because they smell so bad and he rear ends somebody.
And that man was James Marsden.
It's my favorite poop story of all time.
Oh, man.
Second is your temping story.
I was temping at my dad's insurance company in New York and was wearing a dress shirt that was way too big. And when I went to use the bathroom, probably after lunch, I didn't realize that once I sat down on the toilet that the shirt was so big that it had created a hammock that completely didn't allow anything to reach the water. So when I finished pooping, I looked down and saw my dress shirt was just perfectly cradling a shit. Which was a real situation. Because I was in New York, I live in New Jersey. I didn't have like a different pair of
New York
clothing.
has stores, so you went and bought a new shirt, right?
That would have been the smart thing to do. No, I took off my shirt and was probably just bare-chested, just scrubbing poop out of my shirt and then wore it for the rest of the day.
I remember you telling me that you took off your shirt and then you gave up and you walked shirtless through the office and you said that you quit. But
I didn't
remember.
quit, no, but
No?
I definitely wore it the rest of the day and probably should have been fired.
Oh, okay.
my God.
That is a great story.
That is a good one.
Well, I've got some questions for you guys, but just to say a little thing about Scott is that Scott is responsible for me ending up on the show because I met Scott first before I met any of yous.
Really?
Yeah, because I hired Scott onto a failed project of mine that I was developing for FX, and he was great. And I believe the first time we met, I cried at our first meeting.
We did. We met like at a bar or something. I'm like, let's go another drink.
I ordered a drink and then I cried in front of him at our first meeting because it was a bad development situation. And but he was so nice about it. And I was like, this is the sort of person that I need because I needed like a number two. So I hired Scott on, and then he was great, and but the project like died. And then probably because I spent most of the time talking to you about how much I loved Sunny and how you're responsible for most of my favorite episodes, including the game Gives Frank an Intervention, which we just talked about, which is my number one favorite.
That's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, it's very strong.
I just watched it recently.
Holds up.
And that's where Nightcrawlers came in for the first time, which you guys are responsible for.
That's right.
You guys are responsible for the lyrics for Dayman.
Yes, that was one of the first things we ever wrote, and
that was the first script we wrote for the show.
It was the first script, and I remember the Dayman. One of the things that was unique about Sunny was how little you had on breaks. Sometimes, like sometimes you guys would see it, but it wouldn't be the amount of information that the writer would have. There'd be a lot less. The flip side to that is there's a lot of freedom, and you could fix things and sort of experiment. It became something I grew to really love. You hated it, but
you like a more detailed outline.
I'm a
break
little bit more anal.
I don't remember what we had for that. It was like they sang Dayman, and then we just wrote the lyrics kind of quickly, assuming we would like rewrite them or something.
Yeah,
and then it just that remained, and it became
it came together real quick.
Yeah,
why Fighter of the Nightman, Champion? Where'd all that come from? Karate and all that?
I don't know. We just like wrote it out. It was very short. And then it caught on somehow.
Just wrote out Master of Karate and Friendship.
Forever.
Well, yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Just completely randomly. Well, I have a list here, actually, that I wanted to go through with you guys to do a sort of lightning round, which I'm going to call Are You Responsible for This? Which are things that have been claimed on this podcast that maybe you guys are responsible for.
Time to set the record straight.
Okay. The melting dog in the alley from Sweet D gets audited. That one's you, Rosell?
That's based on your dad's story, yeah?
Yes, my dad had
a melted dog?
He worked for this guy who had this big house and all these dogs. And my dad, I won't get into the specifics of his job. It was a real estate thing. But sometimes he'd be over at this house kind of like helping them with whatever they were doing. And he was watching their dogs while they were away. And one day he went over to feed the dogs, and one dog was dead. So he dug a hole and, give the dog a burial. And I guess it'd been out in the sun for so long that he said,
oh my God.
He said that when they put the dog, they had to pick the dog up with a bucket. Because it was so
souped up.
It was so soupy and loose from the heat, and he poured it into a hole, and it was like pouring in like a noodle soup or something.
Dog soup.
Yeah, and that stuck in my brain. And
yeah, that would stick.
I remember you pitched that, and everyone's like, "Yes,
dog soup,
dog soup,
dog soup funeral.
Put it on the board."
Yeah, sure, of course.
Okay, the dick flyer from Dennison D's Mom Is Dead.
I didn't pitch the dick flyer.
That it looks like a bicep. Wasn't you guys?
We were there for it. I don't remember.
I remember it being Hornsby wrote the script for that. I don't remember how.
I remember definitely being there for that. I remember us sketching it on paper together.
Yeah.
It may have been Hornsby or you guys, I would say.
Yeah.
All right. Nightcrawlers.
I don't remember.
That feels very much like us.
Nightcrawlers feels like the two of you guys. Yeah.
That
crawl around like worms in the night.
Yeah.
Frank's doo-wop group we've already established.
My dad was in a group. My dad's actual group name was called Vito and the Salutations, which he got kicked out of.
He got booted out of Vito and the Salutations?
They didn't think he had the stuff.
Now, did your dad sing as a part of that group?
He tried.
Wow.
I would love to.
Yeah, they have an album. I think you can find their album.
Vito and the Salutations.
Yeah.
He's not on it though, right?
No.
But would they also kind of run the streets in their leather coats?
He separately was in that sort of squad. There used to be a club called the 1-2-3 Club, and my dad loved the 1-2-3 Club because you could go in there and you could walk in, kick the jukebox, and 1-2-3 you're in a fight. was how he would always say it. And that was the best part of the 1, 2, 3 clip.
You're in a fight was not where I was expecting that to go.
He liked it, yeah.
A singing fight because the jukebox is on? Or
No, I think like a throwing into garbage pails alley fight, yeah.
The Rococo Bang. Did you guys come up with that? The gang dances their asses off?
I guarantee Rococo came from us because that's just like a term,
Yes.
like a play on a
What's
word that
the
we found
Rococo
funny.
bang?
Dennis does the Rococo Bang with the woman and the gang dances their asses off and then like drops her, right? He's like,
I
let's
think
do the Rococo
that was
Bang.
a challenging episode, Dances the Rest Off.
From that
Yeah.
same episode, Karate Snow Machine Chops It, which Charlie has attributed to you guys.
I think you guys wrote that lyric, that line. I was like, that is
I
I
brilliant.
think
Sure.
so. I think
Charlie's
Austin
really
Hornsby.
fucked up on the pills and he's
Karate.
That
drooling.
whole writing experience is a fever dream because I remember we didn't have a lot of time. What we had to go on was the Jane Fonda movie. They shoot horses, don't they?
You know that classic?
And I think it was Rob who was like, we want to do this. You guys, I think, were maybe already in production or something. It was like this. Do an episode based on this. And
I remember we three watched it and we're like, ooh.
yeah,
What are we gonna do here?
it was tough to see, but we ended up staying up like 3 days in those little offices. At one point, someone walked into our kitchen and we were like, "Who is that?" It was Lisa Bonet, and I don't know where she was
that.
going.
I remember
In that building?
In that building, in the
I remember
kitchen.
we also wrote a piece of it at Hornsby's like original apartment where he had that neighbor that would bathe in the garbage pail.
Yes.
Oh, I was there for that. So, David and I, we had these really good friends, Cy and Genevieve, who lived right next door to David. And Cy was at the Williamstown Theater Festival with David and I. And they had like a little bit of rooftop on this apartment building on just off of Melrose. And so we're having like dinner out there. Like they're fancy. They would put together a nice dinner for us. They invited David over, and Mary Elizabeth and I were there. And we hear from downstairs like, "Hey, you guys, you want to go for a swim?" And we're like, what? And we're like, look over the side of the roof. It's like a 1-story building, so not like a high roof. And their neighbor is standing in his garbage can, which he's filled with water. He's just wasted. And he's like, come on, this pool's great. And they're like, we're so sorry about him. And he just had filled his garbage can and sort of, as
I can't believe no one ever thought about this.
can't believe people aren't doing this. Anyways.
I remember that.
In Mac's Big Break, when Dennis and Dee are having a podcast, Cricket wanting a rotisserie chicken and getting lemons instead. Was that you guys?
Definitely
100%.
you guys.
100%.
What is it about rotisserie chicken? It's just
I
the
don't
word
know.
is funny.
It's
funny,
something
specific.
that
Yeah.
I can't explain it, but I do find
What
it
about
funny.
milk steak? Was that you guys? Or was it, as I remember, it was like, did someone mishear someone in the room?
I think I pitched milk steak.
You pitched milk
Yes.
steak? That's really funny.
But why? Where?
I mean, now we're getting into like we need to dig.
We need a therapist
get
for
real
this.
deep down. Why? Yes. Why? I don't know.
I'm so anal that I bet I could find why. I feel like I have everything that we ever did.
He has all the records.
You have all the records.
really?
I've held on to everything.
Impeccable records.
That's good for the
I have
potential
every season
lawsuits.
labeled by season with everything that we've ever did for
wow.
everyone.
I will still hit him up once in a blue moon. Like, do you have this script? Because I have no records. And
Like you asked me about the Gail Snail thing. I didn't remember it, but I was able to access my stuff because I'm
not quite
insane.
right, Robin. The
Yeah, not
other,
quite right, Robin.
The other,
not quite right, Robin. Never
yeah.
made it to the screen.
Did you guys pitch Gail the Snail? Was that?
I think that was collective
Yeah.
brainstorming for that.
Sure.
How about the lyrics to the Frank's Little Beauties song, "The Magic's in the Air"? Did you guys
Probably.
write
That was a
because
fun-
I
that was a
remember
fun
that was
one.
based on a real song, right? Wasn't there a
I think
video
there were
of
YouTubes that we were obsessed with around that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Like a
there was
Miss
a
America
YouTube of
pageant
some pageant where
Yes,
it
that's
was
right.
either a adult pageant or a kid pageant. I don't remember.
I think it was like
an
Miss America or
Yeah, it was like
something.
Miss America. And the guy sang a song about like magic and light and
Yeah.
lace.
That Mortician character was really funny.
Oh my God. Like there's certain things too where you just don't know. You're like, we're gonna have a mortician and he's gonna do Frank's makeup. And you just don't know till you see Danny come out looking like that, just quite how funny it's gonna be. Like you just don't know.
Okay, so you wrote "Who Pooped the Bed." Did you come up with the stuff that they found in the poop, the like wolf hair and credit cards?
Wolf hair is certainly signature Marder or Rosell.
I feel like Glenn came up with wolf hair in the room. I remember
Impossible.
flashes of things. So
Did you bring that idea in? The Who Pooped the Bed?
I think so.
I don't remember.
One of you guys
I
came in
remember
like
writing the speech, the
like
article
hot off the
speech.
press. I feel like with like this idea.
Might have been.
Well, we talked about how Charlie wrote out the monologue at the end, like on the board very.
Every now and then, like the interesting thing is like someone gets inspiration, right? And then just goes on a tear. When that's happening, you sort of stay out of their way.
Yeah,
right?
for
Just
sure.
like let them go. It happens to everybody, but
Well, that brings up the next, possibly most famous monologue from Sonny, which is the Pepe Sylvia monologue.
Yep.
Did you guys wrote that?
We definitely wrote
We did.
You guys did a pass at some point, but we wrote it.
I can't remember what I pulled Pepe Sylvia from, but I pulled it from things I feel like on a board in my bedroom. Similarly, I was like, Pepe Sylvia.
right. The guys were saying that it was Silva, and I was mispronouncing it.
Silva.
Silva, and I kept saying Sylvia.
Which was funnier.
Oh, yeah, it's just,
Pepe Silva.
just poor reading on my part. But and often people will say, "Was he trying to say Pennsylvania?" But that's not what it was, right? It was just too funny. It was just a funny name.
No, funny name.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, it's just a funny name.
Yeah, you guys nailed that monologue. I remember like just being like, "Oh, this is going to be so fun to do." And then part of the success of that too is what Matt Shackman did from a directing standpoint, where he'd built these things where the letters were just dropping down constantly. So we had someone on a ladder dropping letters and letters.
Scene's so
and letters.
funny, man.
Yeah.
So funny. Yeah.
He was a good director. It's a shame. Does he still work?
Unfortunately, he does stuff that nobody really cares about. You know, superheroes and dragons and
Game of Thrones. And
Everything.
Game of Thrones and Marvel and.
How about From the Nightman Cometh, Boy's Hole and Boy's Soul? Were you guys responsible?
I think that was
to-
me. I gotta say.
I think
That
that
was you.
I think.
Yeah, I feel like you guys really took off with that one.
whole and
I mean,
soul. I was like, I got this one, guys.
I'll take it.
Well, we talked about how from The Gang Hits the Road, the whole thing about Charlie having never eaten a pear was based on Marder never eating blueberries or something.
I never had any fruit. I had never had any fruit, and I never had any candy bar growing up. So that season, lunch every day, the
How did
treat.
you not have a candy bar?
I just didn't have a sweet tooth. My parents eat they eat.
So
tons
you
of
were allowed
sweets.
to have them. You were just like, no, I don't
No
want
thanks. All I ate was salad. I'm a strange
That is
person.
so weird.
I'm a strange
No,
person.
No, wait a second. Have you since had a blueberry? And
I have had a blueberry. I
and
filled in
what'd you
fruit.
think?
I'd say I like them.
Hey, Megan, guess what? This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Oh, BetterHelp is online therapy service designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule.
Yeah, that's right. It's so easy to get caught up in what everyone else needs from you that it's easy to forget what you need for yourself, right?
Yeah, very true. BetterHelp's licensed professionals can give you the tools to find that balance so that you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind.
Therapy's for everyone, right? So if you're on the fence about trying it, now's the time. Give it a whirl.
Yeah, even Tony Soprano, he went to therapy.
He did. He turned out great. Yeah, Tony Soprano went, fellas, right? So there's no excuses here.
Yeah, men would literally rather watch other men go to therapy than go themselves sometimes.
Yeah, but if the head of a mafia family can find time in what I'm sure is a very busy schedule, you at home probably can do it too, right?
What do you think would have happened if Tony Soprano had better help?
Well, it would have been easier for him to find time in his busy schedule, for one. He probably would have saved a little bit of dough. That's good, number two. And then he just might have just like chilled out a little bit and, maybe picked a different direction for his life, which could have been good.
Not good for the show, though. Would have been much more boring of a show.
Yeah, a more boring show, but a better life for him.
Yeah.
Look, everyone can find help with BetterHelp. That's the point, right?
Visit betterhelp.com/sunny for 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/sunny.
This year was really fun to be in the room with both of you and to see your little quirks. Truly, Marder just paces the entire time. You're laying on the floor. This year, you got into a whole thing where you were creating Telemundo shows for David to star in. Do you remember that?
Yes, I was drawing things with starring David Hornsby.
Different Telemundo shows that were all in Spanish.
I
Then
find
you
I
would
work the
draw.
best if I'm not working on what I'm supposed to be working on, and then I'll be able to pitch more things. I don't know.
Really? Yeah, if you're thinking about something completely different.
Try to low level distract myself. There's a method to all of it.
Sure.
Yeah, there's
It's very
definitely
thought out.
method.
Now, so that first season you guys wrote with us, we're out in Playa del Rey. We get through it. It all comes together. You're happy with what happens, and then we call you up and we say, "Hey, good news! We got picked up for another season."
I remember
we were probably season by season at that point.
First feedback that I had gotten that made me relax a little bit. I didn't tell you about it. Was McElhenney called me. I remember I was in H&M buying like Christmas presents, and we had just handed in our first script like a week before, and McElhenney called me to say how much you guys had loved it. And I remember a big weight being lifted. That was sort of a pivotal moment in the emotional trajectory. And then we just started writing. We wrote a lot of the episodes in season 3, and clearly
I feel
there
like we
was
wrote
like
5.
we had a good thing going on creatively, all of us. So we worked on another show in between the first season or the third season and the fourth season.
Really?
The Cavemen show.
Based on the Geico Cavemen.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
One of the worst shows of all time on television.
Based off the ads, but then a call came down from the president of ABC, like early into pre-production, being like, "It can't be anything like the commercials," which was a weird thing to come down. Like, that's gonna be
It's based on the commercials, but make sure you don't reference them at all.
So no cavemen. No, keep the cavemen. All right.
Okay, so then, so we finished that third season. You guys go to Cavemen. You get
Yes.
staffed on Cavemen.
Yes.
and that coincided with the writer's strike too.
and then the writer's strike.
And then
happened.
there was a strike.
Yeah.
What was the experience going from Sunny to Cavemen? Like from our warehouse on a shady road to back to a network thing?
I mean, I don't think any part of no part of me liked anything better about being on Cavemen than Sunny. And like, even though it was on the Sony lot and the dad offices and whatnot, we had such a good thing going on at Sunny.
Yeah.
I was just
We just needed
itching
to make
get
money.
back. I just remember it being hard to write other stuff because I felt like I wanted to write more Sunny because we really got in the groove. So
We met Love Roque there.
exactly.
Right.
Who-
Yes.
he joined
You
us
brought
because
him
we
in
met him at
the fourth
Cavemen.
season. He came in season 4.
I want to say he came in 5, maybe.
Season 5.
5, I think.
Another
Yeah, that's right. We
great,
did need love.
influential Sunny writer.
Yeah.
I have found that, for my 2 cents, the most rewarding part of this business, this career, is getting a group of people that you click with creatively and making something in a bubble, sort of outside the result of it, obviously it's very nice when it reaches people and people have a nice reaction to it, but that's completely out of our control. So the best part of the experience for me is finding something that we're all dug in on, that we don't know how to do it. So the early seasons of Sunny, where we don't know what even an episode of Sunny really is still, is the most rewarding part of this experience. I am sad we can't ever go back to that place with
I
this
know.
show.
I agree. I agree.
That we can't ever just be like,
In a little bubble.
In a
Yeah, because
little
we were just making
bubble.
ourselves laugh. Like nothing was more rewarding than like we'd be cracking ourselves up and then it would hit the airwaves and people would feel the same. Like what's a better gift than that? I mean, it
yes.
was awesome.
Yeah. And we can do a different thing. And having you guys there this year was great. And I think the episodes are really good this year as a result. But we can never be as lost as we were. And there's something really amazing about that. So even going into season 4, we still don't totally know like what an episode of the show is. But now we're in a different warehouse. We're in Culver City. So we've moved a little more.
Moved warehouses.
It was a slightly nicer warehouse, but still pretty crappy. Now we're a team, right? Now we're like, all right, we did this thing. We're feeling good about it. It was a good season.
Had some new writers.
Had some new writers.
Well, I think a funny thing in season 4 was that you guys felt like Rob and I worked out so well that when we came back for season 4, there were 3 other writing teams. You guys like, this writing team thing is where it's at. so it was the biggest room the show had ever had. We came back and it was like Jordan and Elijah, Becky and Audra, Pat and Sunny. Like the room was huge.
I forgot
because you guys were like writing teams. That's the bang for the buck.
I forgot
like,
Sonny Lee and Pat Walsh were a team.
oh yeah.
Yes, that's right.
And they were a good team. They were fun.
That season
they were
had that
great.
super funny thing with Pat. With he was pitching something, and did you do it?
I did it.
He was wearing a hoodie, and he was pitching something, and Rosell just reached over and unzipped the hoodie, and we saw that he wasn't wearing a shirt. He was just wearing a hoodie, and he was suddenly just bare-chested. It completely deflated the pitch, and everyone's like, who wears just a hoodie, man?
Not unlike Glenn with the cereal in the car, dug in that there was nothing weird about wearing a zip-up hoodie.
Maybe
with
he
nothing
crapped in his
underneath
shirt
it.
and he made his way.
Right, oh
And he
man.
had to put on, yeah.
Could be.
No, but that was, to do
Was
that,
dug
to
in
do that
on
in a writer's
sweatshirt,
room.
no t-shirt.
Dug in on the, why is this weird? It's just is.
It's
You don't
amazing
wear a
that didn't-
zipper with no fabric underneath of it.
Yeah.
That derailed the room for like an hour. Like, you came to a writer's room. We're not a nice crowd. Like, you know, you do,
It
do
can
something
be-
all
it
off
can be
kilter, you're going to
vicious
get
in
picked
there.
apart.
I think something that is important for the audience to know is that it's such a group effort writing a television series that, you know, just because you guys are credited for certain episodes doesn't mean you're not writing on all the episodes.
And
you
it
know?
doesn't mean we wrote the episodes we were credited for.
No, I lose track. Like, I have good memories of writing the ones we like really had to dig in on, but like a lot of the other ones are cloudy because I remember bits and pieces of us in all of them. You know?
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
the more people that you have in the room that are really contributing, the better the show becomes. Because I think around that season 4, season 5, season 6, we had a really
We were in sync.
everyone was in sync, and different people were providing different sort of perspectives that were all sort of gelling into the show. And you know, the difference is, I think, was for us, for who sort of stayed, how much someone contributes, and then how much their sort of stamp goes on the show, and then their ability to execute something if we're not there, you know, which you guys and Hornsby really had down. Meg, when you came on, you know, you had that talent as well, or could run the room or sort of push story forward.
Yeah, I was jealous though because of these guys because Rob, he talks about you guys like the funniest people that I've ever worked, you know, the best writers I've ever worked with. And I'm always sitting there like, well, I guess fine. But it is like specifically, I think what's so amazing is you guys just like, I would never in a million years be able to think of like boiled denims, you know.
Boiled
like,
denims, I know, are you guys.
it's just
Yeah.
a weird particular thing that is just like or Charlie's Dreams. I think maybe you guys did that with the denim chickens and
yeah.
like the weird,
Yep.
like I can't think
one of
that
the
way.
weird
My
ones.
King of
brain,
the Rats, that's a weird one.
yeah, my
I like
brain
that.
will not. Did you guys come up with, can I offer you a nice egg in this trying time?
100%.
Yeah.
An egg
I've
in
been
this trying
poisoned.
time is definitely your
I've been
guess.
poisoned by my constituents, like that whole
think that
like
was
the,
it too,
the
yeah.
specificity of stuff like that. I just like yeah. Mine is my contributions are mostly good handwriting for the dry erase board.
This is
No,
not true at all.
No, everyone
Yeah.
brings a different thing, right?
Absolutely.
Whatever season we brought Megan on, I feel like that season actually started and we didn't bring anyone new on, and we felt like we needed to shake it up. So everyone's like, "Who do you got?" And I was like, "Gans, we gotta get her
Yeah.
over." I feel like that particular season we didn't even read specs. Maybe
I
we even
didn't
met with
submit.
you. I feel like you came in.
No, I met with you and
certainly-
Hornsby.
Okay, because I was just like, we just get her in here.
Yeah.
But that season worked out great. Like that influx of energy. Like,
yeah,
like,
that was a great season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the better the energy is in that room, the better the season is. There's no doubt about it.
Season 5 was certainly a high water mark of just us all being
Feeling
creatively
confident in
kind
what
of
we were doing. Yeah.
in a flow. And
I think so.
everybody
I think
riffing
we
and
had
pitching
sort
and-
of figured out what makes the show work, but didn't know it so well that, you know, we were boxed into the
Yeah.
structure or anything.
One of the episodes that you wrote in season 5 was the dentist system, which
yeah.
is such an amazing
also
one.
one of my favorites.
Yeah, it was just do you remember like how that came up and like that he had a system and
It was off of that book, The Game, being a thing
Oh,
at
right.
the time.
oh okay yeah.
Which our roommate was obsessed with.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
All right, so you had a roommate who was obsessed with the game.
Learning the game, trying
game
to
was one of
studying
these,
it like you would read it like an automotive manual.
methods for picking up women.
Yes, for tricking women
Negging was a
into-
big thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
you go and you insult a woman.
Yeah. Hey, your breath stinks.
Peacocking was the thing. Like
Yes,
you wear a
peacocking.
ridiculous like purple hat.
I
with,
have
like,
to
fish
say,
hooks
I
on
was
it.
living in New York and heavily dating during this time, and had the effect
Yeah.
of the game
I feel bad
presented
for her.
upon me.
I
The
can't
peacocking
imagine.
specifically,
Our
the,
buddy would wear a
my
tie
God.
like a bandana.
It
like
was just-
like wear just a tie on
Did
his
the
head.
game work on you?
Never, because it was just awkward, and it was like always, yeah, go for it. It was always awkward. He's negging me right now by using the
This
bathroom.
is a good, Charlie. This is really good use of the game.
Did it ever work for your friend? Did you ever bring home women like confused and you don't want to get into it?
Nothing nefarious. I don't think it worked for him. When you're so clearly adhering to a system, that
Yeah.
can be an off-putting to a woman.
You don't
might
like
not
you
want
don't
to feel like
being
she's
asked
prey.
like, "Hey, floss or no floss?" You don't like being asked that as an opening salvo at a
Yeah,
conversation at a
just
bar.
so odd. And but so you were like, oh well, what if somebody had a very
That was like
specific-
we kind of started talking about that in season 4, I remember, and it may have even gotten written on the board where we
I
were
definitely
just
remember it being written on the board.
room riffing, kind of like, oh, this could be a thing. The dentist system, what would that be? And the putting the letters up. I think we had the words
we had
for
what
the
it meant,
dentist.
and that held.
What is
yeah.
it? What is it? An acronym?
yeah,
yeah.
an acronym. Yeah.
An acronym.
I feel like we had that acronym the previous season, and then we finally wrote it the following.
Yes, we didn't do it for whatever reason, and then we explored it the next season, and it just came together in that one. Yeah.
It's just such a great episode, and that started also Mantis Toboggan.
Mantis Toboggan, yes.
And
Mantis
the
Toboggan.
Magnum,
The Magnum
condom for my monster dog.
Gladys made it back in that episode. She was such a
right.
Gladys
find.
came
And
back for that one.
yes,
Yeah.
R.I.P. Gladys.
And what other ones? Oh, the gang wrestles for the troops was in that episode. Did
And
you
jean
guys-
shorts, like
Yes.
the jean shorts.
We had a
was
Where
big.
you guys
Weird.
did the splits.
Thing with jean shorts.
Yeah.
That became like a something that was referenced often.
We had a jean short obsession.
Yes, weird
I
uses
still
of jean
find
shorts.
them fascinating. Like, saw a guy the other day biking down the street in those like jean shorts that get like stop at the knee, and thinking, what an uncomfortable short
Why not
to go
wear
for a
another
bike
short?
ride in.
Like wear a different. Don't wear regular shorts. Like the jean shorts, they kind of look funny and they're not really comfortable and they're hotter than a normal short.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like we jammed a lot in that one.
Yeah.
That's right. Desert Rose.
Oh yes.
Birds of War in that one as well? The Birds of War song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Birds of War. I remember you guys pitching though a bucket of chestnuts and being like, oh, "That's so funny. He's got chestnuts." And then us being trying to decide like, how did he get? Is he foraging for them? Like
Yes.
what you know? And then something that Roddy did in that episode, which I remember trying to pitch him on the day, was the drifting off when we ask him if he's got kids.
Oh yeah.
And he stops and he drifts off and he looks into space. He goes, "Nah, not no more."
Well, guys like you know what? I love you guys, man. You know, you remind me of my kids.
Oh, you got kids, Maniac?
Nah, not anymore.
What does that mean?
Well, so the Gang Wrestles Troops has lots of big ideas, but some of my favorite Sunny episodes are like really small ideas, like Mac and Dennis break up, which is such a like simple, small story about them feeling like they've gotten into a rut and they need to go, but also is coupled with the cat in the wall story. Did that come from you guys? Do you remember where that idea came
I think
from?
you may have pitched the cat in the wall in the room. I don't know.
I don't recall. Who came up with smoke some cigarettes? They'll snuff out
Suppress
the
apple seeds or
I think I did.
yeah.
not being allowed to eat the
Cigarettes
skins.
are another running thing.
Yeah.
Like weird uses of cigarettes. That episode I love. And like you guys are such great actors together. And sometimes when we get out of the way and just let it be a small scene. I find we would often be striving for things like that. But the reality is like you just can't do too many of them.
You
Yeah.
need both,
Yes,
right? You need to
exactly.
wrestle for the troops, and then you need those guys trying to get me on a dating website.
Yeah.
And if it's all one or the other, the show gets dull. I mean, that's the other thing. You're always trying to surprise the audience, right? So much of comedy is just dropping something that no one expects. And that's what's so great about you guys is your sort of idiosyncratic sense of humor that's so unpredictable, and these terms and ideas that you've thought up that no one's thought of before, like things like milk steak. We're like, well, what is that? But then finding that balance and then trying to maintain it throughout a season is so hard.
Definitely tricky. I mean, what I loved about this show is it felt like it was always doing things that you couldn't do on other things. So when someone would throw out the idea of like a baby funeral, I'm like, we have to strive for a baby funeral. Like, because you're not going to see that on anything else.
Yeah.
But we have the ability to do that. So we got to try to
We were
stick
in
it.
that sweet spot too of like starting at a time where television was pretty controlled by, network television where you only are allowed to do a certain type of humor because you're trying to reach the broadest audience possible.
Yeah.
Now there's so much television, there's so much
Content.
that it makes Sunny less unique in that regard of like the extremes that we were going to. But at the time, we were kind of really getting away with something that a lot of shows weren't.
That was the craziest thing, now that you say that, about Sunny, and you asked like kind of the difference between rooms. It was shocking how little constrictions we had other than the ones that we wanted to put on ourselves, and that we could really whatever we kind of came up with could be on television. And that was so unique.
It was, because it was very cool about you guys that like we could write something and could make it to air, because like 99% of most shows get rewritten a million times over from the writer's draft to blah, blah, blah. But if you guys found something funny, you let it live, which was cool.
I'm always amazed at stuff that works and stuff that doesn't work. And it's just not what you think. You have to it's a process that is continually evolving. So the idea that there's like finite answers at an early stage of it as just the script before it's performed and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, a great script isn't a guaranteed great episode.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
No, but it's a good start. I tell you what, I mean, it's so much harder to make a bad script, work and then clean it up in the editing room versus something that on the page beginning to end is really singing and you're like, this one just came together. But you're right. It's very unpredictable what is and isn't a good script. Of Sunny specifically, I'm not speaking to other shows. I can't speak to that. But like of Sunny, when you write something, you're like, well, it seems like this one should work. And then you get in the editing room and you're like, we gotta come up with something to fix this
or
one.
like this storyline doesn't work and we have to take that out of the episode now, or like things get angled a different way.
It's the way something's been filmed. Sometimes it's the music we've chosen. A good example was 2 episodes that just did not work at all until the editing room were the Suburbs episode and The Gang Dines Out, which we had to just come up with
2 great ones.
Yeah, different musical sort of theme. The Suburbs one, we went sort of with The Shining and played it dark. Versus what was originally in there, which was like Sunny music, sort of transitioning, and it just didn't work at all. And then, and same with the sort of Italian theme that we have playing in that, for whatever reason.
It gives it like a Godfather feel or something.
Gives it a Godfather feel. It needed that. So it's, the whole process, beginning and end, is pretty crazy. It's a Viore.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Viore, a new perspective on performance apparel inspired by the active coastal California lifestyle.
I love Viore. It's amazing. I do have a question.
Oh, maybe your question is about how they're so well-made and flattering yet comfortable, so you want to change out of whatever you're wearing right then and straight into the Viore.
No, I'm not unclear about that. That's all perfectly clear to me. And now that you are reminding me, I'm going to change into my Viores as soon as this podcast is over and get a little more comfortable.
Maybe your question's about how they're offsetting 100% of their carbon footprint and 100% of their plastic footprint from 2019 and beyond?
No, I was not wondering about that. But is that for real? Because now I am. That's amazing.
Yeah, so what was your question then?
Why is it pronounced Viore? Yeah, because like look at the letters. Like we're Viore. I'm not seeing an E in there at all. I'm seeing lots of other vowels. But so where are they getting the E sound? This is a VU.
Yeah, apparently it means a mountain in Finnish.
You're finished?
Well, Viore is an investment in your happiness. For our listeners, they're offering 20% off your first purchase. So get yourself some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing on the planet at Viore.com/sunnypod. That's VUORI.com/sunnypod. temundo.com/sunnypod.
Yeah, not only are you going to receive 20% off with your first purchase, but you're going to enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. So go to Vuori.com/sunnypod and discover the versatility of Vuori clothing. You're going to like it. So now you guys are off working on other shows. You just came off of Dave.
Yes, just came off of Dave.
You were like doing Dave at the same time as Sunny.
Yeah,
this
it got
year,
a
which was
bit crazy.
You were
the
doing Sunny
scheduling.
and Dave at the same time.
Yes, no one seemed to consider that on the other end of conversations I wasn't a part of, that maybe there could be some communication. It's the same network. Shout out to FX. Love FX. Wouldn't work anywhere else.
Yeah. You've been doing Rick and Morty for how many seasons now?
I've been on it since middle of season 4, and we're writing season 9 right now. But,
Jeez.
yeah, I've been running it the last 5 seasons or so, yeah.
When I heard you were going over there, I was like, oh, that's good. Because you're just so like even keel.
I've been
and,
called
like,
human
just,
Xanax before.
Yeah.
It's worked out.
Well, you know what's so funny?
I'm the whisperer.
I always forget this about you because I'd run into you. Your initial kind of like gear is you're in speed 1 and you're very kind of calm and steady and reserved. But unlike most people in cars that go up to like 5, you have like an 11. And every now and then we start to unleash you and ramp you up. And when you get going, man,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I had to pull you out of a refrigerator at a convenience store.
Like, because I tried to climb into the back,
Yeah.
like, freezer section.
No, like
I tried to climb through where the beer comes through.
Yeah, you got like stuck under and we had to like pull your legs out.
There's a switch.
Once the switch has been flipped, I'm capable of anything, which is exciting.
Yeah.
He doesn't come out as often as he used to because I'm a dad now and I need to be more.
Shout out
But-
to Griffin and Reagan.
but it comes out in the writer's room too when the idea gets cooking, right? So
Oh,
then
yeah.
so we're talking and you're very analytical and you're talking about it and then you stumble on something and then we start pitching
I'm
something
like
and then you
under
start
a
getting
chair somewhere.
you start getting excited and then you just become unleashed, which is
I think we've piled a lot of life in. I think we've got a ton of stories from our 20s and 30s that just we're able to pull from. I feel like we've done a lot.
Do you guys ever feel like I feel like this sometimes where I'm like, I need to stop working and do some more living so I have some more
Yes.
Maybe every day I have that thought
I think about
Yeah.
that
as
all the
I'm
time.
writing
from a
documents.
writer's perspective.
Yeah.
It's sort of
Yeah, I don't know what I'm
essential.
writing from.
That is the
'cause
hardest, one of the hardest things of our very difficult jobs as writers in Hollywood. Shout out to writers. Just once you find some success and are able to be working, it can be all consuming and it's all output and no input.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
it's
can
so
burn
much
you out.
output, and you need to.
Well, if we strike, let's go out and live, guys.
Yeah,
And then we
live
can
our
bring it
lives.
all back to the room.
it's symmetry.
In
to this.
2007, when we struck, I tried to get construction jobs because I just wanted to be with people that I wasn't working with, and they were like, "No,"
They're like
flatly rejected.
Sir,
I worked at
this
a
is a
sign
career. We know what
manufacturing
we're
shop.
doing. You can't just walk
You're
in and
gonna
start
die out
trying to
here.
build
Like,
this
no.
building.
What's final draft on your
So
resume?
I ended up getting a job at a shit pill place, like a place that sold colon cleanses.
Ah, great.
Was Glenn ordering?
We'll hire you, sir. We don't care what your experience is.
I worked at a sign manufacturing shop, and then I worked at a newspaper in Santa Monica.
That you were telling us during the strike, you were a restaurant reviewer
A
for a
restaurant
short
reviewer.
amount of time.
remember that.
I wrote
yeah.
one review.
Yeah.
I remember you used to call a restaurant from Sunny, you used to call Le Dijonais, and you would ask them what their soup of the day was, which they would give, and then you would ask them what their smell of the day was, and the person would lose their minds because you would do it every day to them. And then they'd be like, "God damn it, Dad!" He got me again! Like, you just hear that,
Don't call here anymore.
and your smell of the day, ah! You hear the person go crazy.
Any final thoughts? Any parting thoughts? When we began doing this show, what kind of cell phone did you guys have? Was it a flip phone?
Nokia.
A Nokia flip phone?
brick
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah, I was trying to think. Definitely
Yeah.
Nokia. Him and I bought cell phones. He was in LA before I was, and I landed, and neither of us had cell phones, and we couldn't find each other at the airport.
Yeah, it's a real moment.
And I don't remember why, but I feel like I got bussed out into
I don't
to,
even know how I
got
found
bussed
you.
out into a distant parking lot that you came off a bus and everyone was calling you Turtle or a made-up name you had. But we couldn't find each other for like 2 hours.
Are you
and it
a
was
turtle?
terrible. But it was terrible. And then the first place we went was to get cell phones because like we're like never again. That sucked.
Yeah,
like
we
not
should
being able
buy
to
one of
find
these
each other.
cellular
Right
telephones.
to Singular.
Rent
to
a
pick up
Singular
those
Wireless.
Nokias.
That juggernaut.
Let's go to the T-Mobile store. Have Rob and Glenn and I changed a lot? Is it different?
Oh, that's a great question.
I mean,
Rob
you
still,
guys are my
Rob still
employers.
drives that pickup truck.
Rob there's been a lot of changes. I would say you have changed the least by far. Yeah. Everyone remains the same person and the same person you're talking to. So that's great. Rob is, he's gotten into science. He's gotten into companies. Glenn is on the forefront
he's
of
a man of
nutrition
any
and
interest.
houses.
And I still just want to tell good jokes. I just want to.
You're a simple man.
I'm a
You
simple
show up,
man.
you want to make them laugh
I
and
want to
go
make
home.
them laugh. I might want to play a little golf.
Yeah, exactly.
Just want to make a good episode of TV.
Have we changed?
No, not at all. You're just older,
A little grayer.
but a little grayer.
Right.
But you've only changed insofar that I don't get to see you guys as much as I
yeah,
like to.
it bums me up.
Which, yeah.
Let's
I
end
see
on
now,
a kind
I'm
of
like,
a
let's-
lamentful note.
Yeah, let's go find a little dive bar and like just go nuts.
It
Now
is,
we got the kids. We got
Not
the
to make it like, not to get too squishy right now, but that's like the thing that I miss the most is the time that we all used to spend together.
Well, this is my point about, which is that what's so exciting about doing and what we got to do was that it was time well spent just making a thing. We didn't have the kids, so maybe there was a little like time on the side where we could kind of tool around, but just kind of lost in the weeds and trying to come up with something and hoping people respond to it. And
Not even really knowing how, speaking for myself, not knowing how I wrote yet. And like, what are my tendencies?
Yeah, we were thrown into
and
the trench. I mean,
Yeah,
we went
same.
into
largely
the deep end.
informed by a lot of the, your sensibilities.
And back at you. I mean, I think you guys changed the way I looked at writing too, and so I can go even further into sort of things that might appeal to me, but don't exist out in the world, and that people will connect with it.
Charlie is the fastest script writer
I was
I've
just
ever
going to say the
I
same
know.
thing too.
It's
I mean, I think the
insane.
show succeeded out of the early gates because you and Rob had a special sauce that I don't think you guys realized you had, and that both of you could go off and write an excellent scripts like
So
as fast as anyone that I've worked with, and we've worked for a while now. Like,
really weighs on me how fast you guys write.
I know. Me too.
Well, I mean, I think there's just because it's falling on our shoulders. There's no time to waste. Like if we don't get the scripts in, there's no one to blame except us, right?
Yeah.
So I think we just developed a skill to be like, well, just gotta pick an idea and go with it because there's time is ticking. For me, the speed has a lot to do with trying to get out of my head.
yeah,
So
you're
like,
great at stream of consciousness. Just-
trying to get into that stream of consciousness, trying to tap into that, I don't know where it's coming from, get into a flow, and just honestly start just talking as the characters.
Yeah.
And that talking, just be like, okay, they're having a conversation, they're saying this, that, and the other thing. And know me in it. Like, what
Yeah.
are the characters saying? Yeah, how do you guys feel about those sort of writing books and structures and models? Are you like, well, I think it's good and really useful and you should do it? Or you're like, I think it's baloney and...
I think for me, just speaking personally, it was good to read them and sort of see different ways that people are thinking about it, but then sort of leaving it behind as not using it as like a manual for like, no, it has to go like this. It's just...
I'm a story nerd, so I'm into all different types. Like it was awesome being at Sunny Forever and just kind of being able to go for broke and not being really confined. And then we slid over to Network with Mick, and that was way more, by the book. And Rick and Morty works on the Story Circle, which is Dan Harmon's thing, and it's an awesome cheat sheet. I mean, that's the only way that show goes, and it's been fun in my career just to keep changing it up in different ways.
Yeah, like some structure is really invaluable in terms of just getting the work done, right? With Sunny, we know usually it's 12 scenes. So just
Right, yeah,
knowing-
there were always standards.
numbers
Yeah.
1 through 12.
Yeah.
If we have that, we have an episode. I've heard David Lynch saying like, He's like, if you want to write a movie, get note cards, write 90 or 70 scenes. Each card is a scene. Then fill those cards out with what the scene is. Then you got a movie. But to some extent, it's true,
Then drop all the cards,
drop-
reshuffle them
mix
in an
them
order
up,
that
shuffle
doesn't make
them up.
sense to even yourself.
Yeah.
Shoot it in that order, and the fans will call it Mulholland
Make something
Drive.
indecipherable to an audience.
Yeah.
It's like,
Love
get
David
those
Lynch.
cards lost in the wind. Then make your movie.
I mean, I still don't feel like I know how to break a story. And
That's
at this point,
You do.
I know
But
that
you know
I do,
what?
but I feel like I don't.
It's what I like about it is like, because I'm a story nerd as well, and it puts names on what is actually instinctual. Like a story feels like it's done when it feels satisfying, and that's like an instinct that you have. But knowing why it feels satisfying can sometimes help. Like what are the turns, what are the inversions, what kind of thing should be happening in the first act? How should that relate to the end of the second act? Those sorts of things. Because I did the opposite.
Where does the dog melt?
Yeah, where does the dog melt? Where does the cat get lost in the wall? Where's the egg come out? But I think, like anything else, if you just get so fixated on it, just because it fits the story structure doesn't mean it's a good story.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's writing. So, Scott, this is what a podcast is.
Has
Check it
anyone
out.
been on a podcast before listening to a podcast?
You're the first person ever.
That's how I normally operate.
Yeah.
Will you
Well
listen to
done.
this?
Well, you don't have to.
No.
You lived it.
No.
Why would I certainly wouldn't listen to myself? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you should listen to some podcasts here and there. You might find. Well, if
I hear
you
a lot of
drive
good things about this one from
you-
people that just
Yeah.
like it. I mean,
you listen to music like when you work out, or when are you listening to anything? When are you?
I feel like I'm still writing to like thundering techno that we listened to in college.
He writes to like the most aggressive, like German techno music.
Oh, dude, that's my kid, man. It's like he's like I listen to his music when I drive him to school, and it's all just like German techno, like crazy.
They used to like
intense.
joke on the mic, like that Facebook movie when those programmers are working, like he's wired in. Like you just hear thundering techno coming out of headphones, and I'm just writing. Takes me to a weird place.
It's like the song at the beginning of the movie Blade.
Love that song.
Marder's sweet spot for writing.
Good blood rave music. Oof.
Yeah.
There it is.
Something people would do like lots of drugs too. He's in an office sober writing a
Calms you
script.
down.
Yes.
Let's see what's you.
I guess so. Yeah.
Oh man. Well,
We've done it.
we've done it,
This
guys.
is it?
This
That's it.
is
was
is
all
what
it
it
takes.
is. That's podcast. Podcast. There is no writing. You just talk and talk,
It's nice. Just catching up.
and then it just sort of ends.
And then it just sort of ends.